She sent him a voice message at 1:15 in the morning. 4 minutes of tears, 4 minutes of truth, 4 minutes that contained the words she had
Ryan.
been trying to say for 6 years. I am pregnant. Our baby might be sick, and I cannot do this anymore. She pressed
I
send.
know this is hard,
She packed her
but I
bags,
can't stay.
and she disappeared into the night.
I have
But
to
here's
do
the
this
thing.
for the baby.
He never heard it. Someone deleted that message before he could listen. Someone who had been sabotaging their marriage for 6 years. Someone he trusted completely.
I'm so sorry
By
to
the
tell
time
you
he
this,
discovered
Ryan,
the
but
truth, his
she's
pregnant wife
gone.
was gone. His mother was
baby
trying to
didn't make
steal his
it.
unborn child. And the woman he had ignored for 6 years was fighting for her life in a hospital bed. This is not just a story about a billionaire who ignored his wife. This is a story about betrayal, revenge, and a second chance that almost came too late. Stay with me until the end, because the twist at the 40-minute mark, you will never see it coming. The penthouse overlooked Manhattan like a throne suspended in the clouds. 62 floors above the city that never sleeps, Emma Collins stood barefoot on cold marble, her silk robe doing nothing to ward off the chill that seemed to seep from the walls themselves. It was 11:47 at night. Ryan still was not home. Emma pressed her palm against the swell of her belly, feeling the flutter of movement beneath her skin. 7 months pregnant with a baby girl who might have a heart condition. A baby whose father did not even know she existed in any real way, because Emma had been trying to tell him for 3 weeks and he had not given her 5 minutes. 3 weeks. 21 days of Ryan, I need to talk to you. 21 days of not now Emma, and the Tokyo deal is closing, and Jennifer scheduled a dinner with investors. 21 days of watching her husband's assistant smile that small victorious smile every time Emma was dismissed. The private elevator chimed. Emma's heart lifted despite everything. That stubborn hope she could not seem to kill, no matter how many times it was crushed. Ryan Castellano walked into the penthouse at exactly midnight, his charcoal suit still crisp despite the late hour. At 41, he was everything the business magazines called him. Brilliant, ruthless, devastatingly handsome with dark hair silvering at the temples and eyes the color of aged whiskey. He had built Castellano Industries from nothing into a $12 billion empire, and it showed in every confident step he took. Jennifer Walsh followed him in, her heels clicking on the marble like punctuation marks. She carried her tablet and was laughing at something Ryan had said, her voice low and intimate in a way that made Emma feel like a ghost in her own home. Ryan, Emma said softly, can we talk? He glanced at her the way you might glance at a piece of furniture you had forgotten you owned. Not now, Emma. Tokyo closes in 6 hours. It is important. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. The baby. The doctor found something, and I need to tell you. Jennifer's fingers flew across her tablet. I can reschedule the morning calls if you need a few minutes. Mr. Castellano. No, Ryan was already walking toward his study. Everything is important, Emma. That is how business works. We will talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. 6 years of tomorrows that never came. Jennifer shot Emma a look as she followed Ryan. It lasted less than a second, but Emma saw it clearly. Triumph. Satisfaction. The look of a woman who had already won a war. Emma did not even know she was fighting. Emma stood in the dark living room, surrounded by furniture that cost more than her parents' house, artwork she had not chosen, a view that millions would envy. She had never felt more alone in her life. She climbed the stairs to the bedroom suite they no longer shared. Ryan slept in his study most nights, or claimed to. Emma had stopped asking where he really was because asking required hope, and hope was a luxury she could no longer afford. In the bathroom, she caught her reflection in the mirror, 32 years old with honey-colored hair and green eyes that used to sparkle with dreams. When had she become this pale shadow of herself? When had she stopped being Emma Collins, the interior designer who had built her own business from scratch, and become just another expensive accessory in Ryan Castellano's collection? Her phone sat on the marble counter. Emma picked it up with trembling hands. She had written the words 100 times in her mind. Now she needed to say them out loud, even if Ryan would never listen in person. She pressed record. Ryan, it is me, Emma, your wife, in case you have forgotten. Her voice cracked, but she kept going. I know you are busy. You are always busy, but I need to tell you something I have been trying to tell you for 3 weeks. Our baby might be sick. The doctor found something in my last ultrasound, a potential heart condition. They want me to see a specialist immediately. And you would know this if you had given me 5 minutes any time in the past 21 days. But you could not. You never can. Tears streamed down her face. I gave up everything for you, Ryan. My business, my friends, my family 3,000 miles away. I moved into this glass prison and I have spent 6 years trying to make it a home, trying to make you see me, trying to be enough. But I am tired. I am so tired of being invisible in my own marriage. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I used to think that if I just tried harder, was more patient, more understanding, you would eventually see me. But I have learned something in 6 years. You cannot make someone choose you. You can only choose yourself. So that is what I am doing. I am choosing myself. I am choosing our daughter. I am choosing to stop waiting for a man who was never going to show up. Emma's hand moved to her belly, cradling the life inside her. Do not look for me, not because I hate you, but because I need to remember what it feels like to matter to someone. I loved you, Ryan. I really did. I loved you enough to wait for 6 years hoping you would love me back. But love is not supposed to feel like this, like drowning in plain sight while everyone watches and no one reaches out a hand. Goodbye, Ryan. I hope someday you understand what you lost. She hit send before she could change her mind. The message uploaded as a voice note to Ryan's phone, timestamp 1:15 in the morning. 3 floors below in Ryan's study, his phone buzzed on the desk. Emma's name flashed on the screen for half a second before another notification from the Tokyo office layered over it. Jennifer saw it first. She always did. Without hesitation, she picked up Ryan's phone while he reviewed contracts on his computer. She saw the voice message from Emma. She saw the length of it, 4 minutes and 32 seconds, and she deleted it. Do you need anything else tonight, Mr. Castellano? Jennifer asked, her voice perfectly professional as she set his phone back down. No, get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. Jennifer smiled as she gathered her things. Yes, it certainly was. Emma packed a single suitcase. Not the designer clothes Ryan bought her for charity galas and investor dinners. Simple things, jeans, sweaters. The few items that still felt like her. She had been planning this for 2 years without even realizing it. Small amounts moved from her monthly allowance into a separate account Ryan did not know about. Enough to disappear, enough to start over. At 2:30 in the morning, the penthouse was silent. Ryan was still in his study, Jennifer having finally left an hour earlier. Emma walked down the hallway one last time, pausing outside his door. She could hear him on a video call, his voice sharp and commanding as he directed executives halfway around the world. Building his empire. Always building. She did not say goodbye in person. She knew if she saw his face, she might lose her courage. The service elevator took her to the parking garage where a taxi waited. She had arranged everything carefully, leaving no trail for anyone to follow. As the taxi pulled away from the building that had been her prison disguised as paradise, Emma looked back once. The penthouse glowed like a beacon in the night sky, beautiful and cold, just like her marriage. Ryan worked until dawn, fueled by black coffee and the relentless drive that had made him a billionaire before 40. The Tokyo deal closed successfully. His company gained another $300 million in quarterly revenue, another victory in an endless string of victories that somehow never felt like enough. He finally went upstairs at 6 in the morning, exhausted. He collapsed into bed in his private room without checking in on Emma, without noticing that her bedroom door was open, her closet partially empty, her presence already a ghost. The voice message sat unheard on his phone, a goodbye he had never received, a confession of love and loss and new life that he was still too blind to see. By the time the sun rose over Manhattan, Emma was already at the airport boarding a flight to Portland, Oregon. From there, she would drive 2 hours to Seabrook, a small coastal town where her grandmother had lived. Emma had inherited the cottage 5 years ago, but never visited because Ryan thought small towns were pointless. Ryan woke at noon disoriented. He never slept past 7. His head pounded from too little sleep and too much stress. He showered and dressed with his usual precision, then went downstairs expecting to find coffee already prepared. The subtle signs of Emma's quiet presence that he had taken for granted for 6 years. The kitchen was dark and empty. No coffee, no breakfast, no Emma moving silently through the space like a ghost he had learned to ignore. Emma? His voice echoed through the cavernous penthouse. Nothing. He checked her room. The bed was made but looked untouched. Some of her clothes were missing from the closet. Her favorite books were gone from the nightstand. A cold feeling spread through his chest, something he did not recognize at first because he had spent so many years refusing to feel anything at all. Ryan called his head of security. "Where is Emma?" "Sir, I assumed she was with you. The overnight footage shows her leaving at 2:47 this morning in a taxi. She had a suitcase. We thought you knew." Ryan hung up and stood in the middle of Emma's empty room, truly seeing it for the first time. Pale blue walls she had chosen herself. Photographs of her parents, her sister, her college friends. None of him. There was not a single photograph of them together. Not one. How had he never noticed that before? His phone buzzed with 17 messages from Jennifer about meetings, calls, decisions that needed to be made. He stared at the screen, and for the first time in his professional life, he did not care. He called Emma, straight to voicemail. He texted her, no response. He called Jennifer. "Do you know where Emma went?" There was a pause. "She mentioned something about visiting family. In Oregon, I think. She said she would be gone a few weeks. You were so focused on Tokyo that I did not want to disturb you with the details." Ryan frowned. That did not sound like Emma. She always told him things directly, even when he did not listen. She would not have left a message with his assistant. But Jennifer had been with him for 8 years. She had no reason to lie. "Fine, keep me updated on my schedule. I will be in the office in an hour." He pushed aside the cold feeling in his chest and focused on what he knew. Work, success, the next deal. It was easier than examining why his wife had left in the middle of the night without saying goodbye. 2,000 miles away, Emma's taxi wound through the coastal roads of Oregon. The driver was an older woman named Dolores with silver hair and kind eyes that missed nothing. "Honey," she said, glancing in the rearview mirror, "that is a lot of luggage for a woman traveling alone. You running from the law or a man?" Emma almost smiled despite herself. "A man. Same thing sometimes." Dolores nodded sagely. "Where are we going?" "Seabrook. It is a small town about 20 minutes north." "I know it. Pretty place. Good for healing if you do not mind the quiet." Emma looked out the window at the gray-green ocean stretching toward the horizon. "Quiet sounds perfect." Dolores was silent for a moment. Then she said, "I left my first husband at 2 in the morning too. Best decision I ever made. He cried for a month. I sent him tissues." Emma laughed, surprised by the sound. It had been so long since she had laughed. "You think I made the right choice?" Emma asked. "Honey, I do not know your story. But I know this. Any man who makes a pregnant woman run in the middle of the night does not deserve to catch her. You did the hard part. You left. Now comes the harder part." "What is that?" "Learning to live for yourself again." The cottage came into view 20 minutes later. It was smaller than Emma remembered, with white clapboard siding that needed painting and blue shutters that had faded in the salt air. The garden was overgrown, the porch steps sagging. But when Emma unlocked the door, she smelled her grandmother's lavender sachets still tucked in the closets. She saw the quilt her grandmother had sewn draped over the old armchair. She felt for the first time in years like she might be able to breathe. Dolores helped her carry the suitcase inside. "You going to be okay out here alone?" Emma put her hand on her belly. "I am not alone." Dolores smiled, pressed a business card into Emma's hand and said, "You call me if you need anything. Us runaway wives have to stick together." Then she was gone, and Emma was standing in her grandmother's cottage with nothing but a suitcase, a secret bank account, and the terrifying freedom of a woman who had finally chosen herself. She sank into the old armchair and cried. Not from sadness, though there was plenty of that, but from relief, from the overwhelming sensation of a weight being lifted that she had not even realized she was carrying. Tomorrow she would figure out the next steps. Doctor appointments, job possibilities, all the logistics of building a life from scratch. But tonight she would just sit in her grandmother's chair, feel her daughter kick against her ribs, and remember what it felt like to be Emma Collins. Just Emma. Nothing more and nothing less. 3 weeks passed like a healing breath. Emma fell into a rhythm she had not known she needed. Morning walks along the beach, the salt air filling her lungs. Afternoon naps in her grandmother's chair. Evening hours spent sketching design ideas she had been too exhausted to imagine for years. Her first week in Seabrook, she found a local OB/GYN, Dr. Patricia Hayes, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, who took one look at Emma's medical records from Manhattan and frowned. Your blood pressure was through the roof 3 weeks ago. Now look at you. Perfectly normal. What changed? I left my husband. Emma said it simply, without drama. Dr. Hayes nodded as if this explained everything. Stress affects pregnancy more than people realize. Whatever you were doing before, your body was telling you it was too much. Sometimes removing yourself from a toxic situation is not giving up. It is survival. What about the baby's heart? Emma asked, the question that had haunted her for weeks. The specialist in Manhattan said there might be a problem. Dr. Hayes studied the ultrasound images. There is a small irregularity, yes, but it is not as concerning as your previous doctors suggested. We will monitor it closely. In my experience, many of these things resolve on their own, especially when the mother is not drowning in stress hormones. Emma left that appointment feeling lighter than she had in months. The cottage needed work, which gave Emma purpose. She cleaned out decades of accumulated clutter, painted the kitchen a cheerful yellow, planted flowers in the neglected garden beds. Her hands remembered how to create beauty, how to transform spaces into something warm and welcoming. Her neighbor was a veterinarian named Daniel Harris, a gentle man in his late 30s with kind eyes, and a 6-year-old daughter named Sophie, who was fascinated by Emma's growing belly. Is there really a baby in there? Sophie asked one afternoon, pressing her small hand against Emma's stomach. There really is. A little girl. What is her name? I have not decided yet. Sophie considered this seriously. I think you should name her Sparkle. That is what I would name a baby. Daniel appeared on Emma's porch looking apologetic. Sophie, you cannot just invite yourself into people's houses. It is fine, Emma said. She is helping me decide on baby names. Daniel smiled, and Emma noticed how different it felt from Ryan's rare smiles. Daniel's warmth reached his eyes. It expected nothing in return. Your porch railing is loose, he said. I noticed it yesterday. I could fix it for you if you want. I have the tools. You do not have to do that. I know, but my wife used to say that neighbors are just family you have not met yet. She was better at this stuff than me, but I am trying to keep the tradition going. Emma learned later that Daniel's wife had died 2 years ago from cancer. He was raising Sophie alone, building a life from grief the same way Emma was building one from disappointment. There was nothing romantic between them. Emma was not ready for that, might never be ready. But Daniel showed her something she had forgotten existed. Men who were kind without wanting something in return. Men who showed up. It made Ryan's absence even starker by comparison. By the end of her 3rd week in Seabrook, Emma had her first freelance client. Martha Patterson owned the only bed and breakfast in town and wanted to update the guest rooms. She had seen Emma's sketches through the window and asked if she was a designer. I used to be, Emma said. Used to be is not the same as stopped being. Martha was 70 years old with silver hair and opinions about everything. Show me what you would do with my place. Emma spent 3 days creating a design proposal. When she presented it to Martha, the older woman's eyes lit up. This is exactly what I wanted but could not picture. When can you start? The project was small, just 5 guest rooms, but it paid enough to cover Emma's expenses for 3 months. More importantly, it reminded her that she was good at something, that she had value beyond being Ryan Castellano's invisible wife. She video called Rebecca Sullivan, her college roommate, and now a successful divorce attorney in Boston. You sound different, Rebecca said, studying Emma through the screen. Lighter, I feel different. I forgot who I was, Beck. I spent 6 years trying to be what Ryan needed, and I forgot what I needed. Rebecca's expression softened. So what happens now? Are you filing for divorce? Emma hesitated. I do not know yet. Part of me wants to, but part of me wonders if I should give him a chance to change first. Emma. Rebecca's voice was gentle but firm. You gave him 6 years of chances. How many more does he need? I know you are right. I just need more time to figure out what I want. Okay? But listen to me. Whatever you decide, document everything. Save every message. Record every interaction if it is legal in Oregon. If this turns ugly, your paper trail is your weapon. You think it will turn ugly? I think he is a billionaire and you are pregnant with his heir. I think his family did not get that rich by playing nice. Just be careful, okay? Emma promised she would. She went to bed that night feeling something she had not felt in years. Hope. Small and fragile, but real. She should have known it would not last. Jennifer Walsh had been in love with Ryan Castellano for 8 years. She had watched him build his empire from the sidelines. Always essential, never acknowledged. She had memorized his coffee order, his schedule, his moods. She knew things about him that his own wife did not know because Emma had never bothered to pay attention. Jennifer had. When Emma left, Jennifer felt a surge of triumph so intense she nearly laughed out loud. Finally, the useless wife had removed herself from the equation. Now Jennifer just needed to fill the space she had left behind. But Ryan was distracted. He kept checking his phone, kept asking if Emma had called. After 3 weeks, he hired a private investigator. Jennifer could not allow that. She accessed Ryan's accounts the way she always did, using the administrative privileges he had given her years ago. She tracked Emma's credit card activity and found a single charge: a grocery store in Seabrook, Oregon. Jennifer did not tell Ryan. Instead, she made 3 phone calls. The first was to Margaret Castellano, Ryan's mother. Margaret had never approved of Emma. Too common, she called her. Not the right breeding for the Castellano name. "Mrs. Castellano, I thought you should know. Emma has abandoned your son. She is hiding in Oregon with your grandchild." Margaret's voice turned cold with fury. "Where exactly?" Jennifer gave her the address. The second call was to a tabloid contact Jennifer had cultivated over the years. Someone who paid well for tips about the rich and famous. The wife of tech billionaire Ryan Castellano has fled their Manhattan home. Sources say she is hiding in a small Oregon town with another man. Jennifer included the photo she had pulled from Emma's social media. Emma standing on her porch with Daniel Harris, his hand on her shoulder in a gesture of friendly support. Out of context, it looked like something else entirely. The third call was to a lawyer, a former classmate who owed Jennifer a favor. "I need an emergency custody motion filed. The mother is a flight risk who may attempt to flee the country with the child." "Here are the details." Jennifer hung up the phone and smiled. Emma Collins wanted to disappear? Fine. But she would learn that no one left Ryan Castellano without permission. And no one took Jennifer's place. Emma woke to the sound of shouting outside her cottage. She stumbled to the window, still half asleep, and felt her heart stop. There were people with cameras on her lawn. Paparazzi. At least a dozen of them, pushing against each other, shouting her name. "Emma, Emma, is it true you left your husband for another man? Emma, are you pregnant? Is it Ryan's baby or your lover's? Emma, is it true you stole money from Castellano Industries?" She stumbled backward, hand pressed to her chest. How had they found her? How did they know her name? Her phone was ringing. "Rebecca, Emma, what the hell is going on? You are all over the tabloids." "What?" "There is a story saying you fled your marriage for another man. They have photos of you with some guy on a porch. They are calling you a gold digger who got pregnant to trap Ryan and then ran when you got a better offer." "That is Daniel," Emma said, her voice shaking. "My neighbor. He is a widower. He fixed my porch railing. There is nothing going on. I know that and you know that, but the internet does not know that. Emma, this has professional PR attack written all over it. Someone is trying to destroy you." A knock at the door made Emma jump. "Mrs. Castellano, this is Deputy Morrison with the Seabrook Police Department. I have papers to serve you." Emma opened the door with trembling hands. The deputy looked apologetic as he handed her a thick envelope. "Emergency custody motion," he explained. "Filed in New York. They are claiming you are an unfit mother and a flight risk. There is a hearing scheduled for next week." Emma stared at the papers, the words blurring through her tears. Margaret Castellano versus Emma Collins Castellano. Her mother-in-law was trying to take her baby. The next 48 hours were a nightmare. The paparazzi followed Emma everywhere. To the grocery store, to the doctor's office. She could not leave her cottage without being photographed, without having questions screamed at her. Martha Patterson called, her voice tight with regret. "Emma, honey, I am so sorry, but I cannot have this kind of publicity associated with my business. People are calling and asking if I am harboring a fugitive. I have to cancel our contract." "I understand," Emma said, even though she did not, even though she wanted to scream that none of this was fair. The pregnancy support group she had been attending asked her not to come back. Other members were getting harassed by reporters looking for quotes about the billionaire's runaway wife. Daniel's daughter Sophie was being followed home from school by photographers trying to get a shot of the other man. Emma sat in her grandmother's cottage surrounded by legal papers and tabloid headlines and felt the walls closing in. She had escaped Ryan's glass prison only to find herself in an even smaller cage. "I do not know what to do," she told Rebecca over video call. "I thought if I left I would be free, but they are trying to take everything. My reputation, my business, my baby." Rebecca's expression was fierce. "Listen to me, Emma. They are trying to scare you into submission. That is how people with money fight. They make you feel like you have no options. But you have rights. The custody motion is flimsy. It is based on the fact that you left your husband, which is not illegal and does not make you an unfit mother. We can fight this. With what money? I have enough saved to survive maybe 6 months. Legal fees for fighting the Castellanos could be millions. Then we get creative. Pro bono lawyers, media attention on your side. Document everything they are doing to harass you. Make them look like the bullies they are." Emma wiped her eyes. "How did this happen, Beck? I just wanted to raise my daughter in peace. I did not ask for any of this, I know." Rebecca's voice softened. "But sometimes peace has to be fought for. And you are stronger than you think, Emma. You left a billionaire in the middle of the night with nothing but a suitcase and started over from scratch. That takes guts. Do not let them break you now." Emma took a deep breath. She was tired. She was scared. She was 7 months pregnant and completely alone. But she was not broken yet. Marcus Webb had worked at Castellano Industries for 15 years. He had watched the company grow from a startup in a garage to a $12 billion empire. He had seen Ryan transform from a hungry young entrepreneur into a cold, ruthless executive who valued profit over people. And he had watched Jennifer Walsh slowly tighten her grip on every aspect of Ryan's life. Marcus did not trust Jennifer. He never had. There was something calculating behind her professional smile, something predatory in the way she guarded access to Ryan. When Emma disappeared, Marcus noticed things that did not add up. Jennifer seemed relieved rather than concerned. She deflected Ryan's questions about Emma's whereabouts with practiced ease. And when Ryan hired a private investigator, Jennifer suddenly became very interested in the investigation's progress. Too interested. Marcus made some calls of his own. He hired his own investigator, a former FBI agent named Thomas Reynolds, who specialized in corporate espionage. "What exactly am I looking for?" Reynolds asked. "Anything that connects Jennifer Walsh to Emma Castellano's disappearance. I think she knows more than she is saying." Reynolds worked quickly and quietly. Within a week, he had accessed Jennifer's personal email, her phone records, her financial transactions. What he found made Marcus's blood run cold. "She has been intercepting Emma's communications for years," Reynolds reported, deleting text messages before Ryan could see them, rescheduling appointments so Emma would miss important events. She even deleted a voice message Emma sent the night she left. "What kind of voice message?" Reynolds played the audio file, recovered from cloud backup. Marcus listened to Emma's voice, broken and beautiful, talking about the baby's heart condition, talking about 6 years of invisibility, saying goodbye. When it ended, Marcus sat in silence for a long moment. "There is more," Reynolds said. "Jennifer contacted Margaret Castellano the day after Emma left. She gave her Emma's location. She also tipped off a tabloid and helped file a fraudulent custody motion. She orchestrated the entire attack. It appears so, and there is a money trail too. Margaret has been paying Jennifer $200,000 a year for the past 6 years. Officially, it is listed as consulting fees, but the timing of the payments suggests something else entirely. Margaret paid Jennifer to manage Emma," Marcus said slowly, "to keep her isolated, to make sure she never got too close to Ryan. That would be my assessment, yes." Marcus took the evidence and went directly to Ryan's office. Ryan was in a meeting when Marcus interrupted. "This cannot wait," Marcus said. "Everyone else out, now." Something in his tone made the other executives scramble for the door. When they were alone, Marcus set his phone on Ryan's desk. "You need to listen to this." He pressed play. Emma's voice filled the room. "Ryan, it is me. I know you are busy. You are always busy. But I need to tell you something." Ryan's face went pale as he listened. His hands gripped the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles turned white. "Our baby might be sick. The doctor found something in my last ultrasound, a potential heart condition. They want me to see a specialist immediately. And you would know this if you had given me 5 minutes any time in the past 21 days. The message continued, 4 minutes of pain and love and goodbye that Ryan had never heard. When it ended, Ryan could not speak. Where did you get this? His voice was barely a whisper. Jennifer deleted it from your phone the night Emma sent it. She has been intercepting Emma's communications for years, Ryan. She has been systematically isolating your wife, making sure you never got too close. And when Emma finally left, Jennifer tracked her down, tipped off the tabloids, and helped your mother file for custody of your unborn child. Ryan stared at him. That is impossible. Jennifer has been with me for 8 years. She would never. Marcus handed him a folder of evidence. Bank statements, email transcripts, phone records. She has been on your mother's payroll for 6 years, $200,000 a year to manage Emma, to keep her invisible, to make sure your marriage stayed exactly as cold and distant as it has been. Ryan read the documents. His face cycled through shock, denial, and finally a rage so intense Marcus took a step back. Where is Jennifer now? In her office. Ryan stood. His movements were controlled, but Marcus could see him shaking. And Emma? Where is she? A small town in Oregon called Seabrook. The paparazzi have been harassing her for days. Your mother's lawyers are trying to take custody of the baby. Emma is completely alone, Ryan. She has no idea that you never heard her message. She thinks you just did not care enough to respond. Ryan closed his eyes. For one long moment, he stood perfectly still. Then something cracked open inside him. Something he had spent 30 years building walls around. Something his father had beaten out of him when he was just a boy, learning that emotions were weakness and love was a trap. The walls came down, and Ryan Castellano finally felt the full weight of what he had lost. Ryan found Jennifer in her office at 7:43 in the evening. She was typing calmly at her computer, her posture perfect, her expression serene, as if she had not spent 6 years systematically destroying his marriage, as if she had not deleted the desperate goodbye from his pregnant wife, as if she was not the architect of every miserable moment Emma had endured. Jennifer. She looked up with her usual professional smile, the one Ryan had mistaken for loyalty all these years, the one he now recognized as the mask of a predator. Ryan, I was just finishing the quarterly projections. The Tokyo team wants to schedule a follow-up call, and I was thinking Thursday would. Where is my wife? The smile flickered. Just a microsecond of uncertainty before the mask slid back into place. I told you, she is visiting family in Oregon. She said she needed some time too. Do not lie to me. Ryan's voice was quiet, controlled. The voice he used in boardrooms when he was about to destroy a competitor. The voice that had made grown men cry and billion-dollar deals collapse. Jennifer had heard that voice many times, but never directed at her. Ryan, I do not know what you have heard, but I can assure you, I heard the message, Jennifer. Her fingers stopped moving on the keyboard. The message you deleted from my phone. The one where my wife told me she was pregnant. The one where she said our baby might have a heart condition. The one where she said goodbye because she thought I did not care enough to listen. Ryan stepped closer. I know everything. The money from my mother, 6 years of payments, $200,000 annually to manage Emma. To intercept her messages, to make sure she stayed invisible, to make sure I never got close enough to actually love her. Jennifer's professional mask finally cracked, and beneath it, Ryan saw something he had never noticed in 8 years of working side by side, something that made his stomach turn. Obsession, raw and ugly and desperate. She did not deserve you. Jennifer's voice rose, the careful control shattering. She was weak, Ryan. Fragile. She could not handle your world. She wanted you to slow down, to be present, to waste your potential on domestic nonsense. I was the one who understood you. I was the one who matched your ambition. I was here every late night, every crisis, every moment when she was too pathetic to keep up. She stood, her chair scraping against the floor. I built this company beside you. I memorized your coffee order before she even knew how you took it. I knew your moods, your triggers, your fears. I knew you better than she ever could, and you never saw me. 8 years, Ryan. 8 years of being invisible while you wasted yourself on a woman who could not even hold your attention. Ryan stared at her. This woman he had trusted. This woman who had been systematically poisoning his life. "You are insane," he said quietly. "I am in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. Ryan felt nothing but disgust. "You are fired, effective immediately. Security will escort you out of the building. And Jennifer, my lawyers will be in contact about criminal charges. Stalking, harassment, fraud, theft of personal communications. I will make sure you never work in this industry again." Jennifer laughed, an ugly sound that echoed off the glass walls. "It does not matter. Your mother already has lawyers in Oregon. By next week, they will have temporary custody of your precious baby. Emma signed a prenup with a morality clause, remember? Abandoning her husband violates it. She gets nothing. Not the baby, not a penny, not even the satisfaction of knowing she hurt you." She leaned closer, her eyes glittering with malice. "And the best part? Even if you fire me, even if you cut off your mother, even if you run to Oregon and beg on your knees, Emma will never trust you again. She thinks you heard her message and ignored it. She thinks you knew about the baby's heart condition and did not care. She will spend the rest of her life believing that her husband heard her say goodbye and could not be bothered to respond." Jennifer smiled. "I may have lost, but so did you." Ryan stepped close enough that she could see every line of controlled fury on his face. "You seem to have forgotten something, Jennifer. That baby is my daughter. Emma is my wife. And if you think I am going to let you or my mother or anyone else take them from me, you have severely underestimated who you are dealing with." He straightened. "I built a $12 billion company from nothing. I have destroyed competitors who were worth 10 times what you will ever be. I have resources and connections in a very long memory. So here is what is going to happen. You are going to walk out of this building. You are going to pray that the criminal charges are the worst thing that happens to you. And you are going to spend the rest of your miserable life knowing that you lost. Completely, utterly, irreversibly." He turned toward the door. "Get her out of my building." Security arrived within seconds. Jennifer screamed threats as they escorted her out, her voice echoing through the hallways, her perfect professional mask destroyed forever. Ryan did not watch her go. He was already planning his next move. He called his mother from the parking garage. Margaret answered on the first ring. Her voice was smooth and cultured, the voice of a woman who had spent 68 years believing she was better than everyone around her. "Ryan, darling, I was just about to call you. That dreadful woman, Jennifer, has been telling the most terrible lies about." "I know what you did, Mother." Silence. "I know you paid Jennifer to isolate Emma for 6 years. I know you orchestrated the media attack. I know you filed a custody motion to steal my daughter. And I know that you have spent every moment since I married Emma trying to destroy her." "Ryan," Margaret's voice turned cold, "that woman was never good enough for you. She is common. Her father was a construction worker, for heaven's sake. Her mother was a nurse. The Castellano name deserves. I do not care about the Castellano name." The words felt like freedom. "I do not care about your social standing or your precious reputation or what your friends at the country club think. Emma is my wife. She is carrying my daughter, and she is worth more than every dollar you have ever touched. You cannot be serious. Ryan, you are throwing away everything your father built for some." "My father was a monster," Ryan's voice cracked. "He had a secret second family mother. Did you know that? For 15 years, he was living a double life while you looked the other way. And you have spent your entire marriage pretending it never happened. How dare you? I am done pretending. I am done protecting you. I am done being the son you wanted instead of the man I should have been. If you do not withdraw that custody motion within 24 hours, I will cut you off completely. No more money, no more access. No more pretending we are a family. You would not dare. I am your mother. You stopped being my mother the moment you tried to take my daughter." He hung up before she could respond. Then he got in his car and started driving. Manhattan to Oregon, 43 hours, 1,700 miles. Ryan drove through the night, stopping only for gas and coffee. He did not sleep. He could not sleep. Every mile that passed, he heard Emma's voice in his head. "I cannot remember the last time you looked at me like I was someone who mattered. I loved you, Ryan. I really did. Goodbye." He had to find her. He had to make this right. even if it took the rest of his life. Emily was sitting in a lawyer's office in Riverside when Ryan walked through the door. She had been reviewing documents for hours. Custody motions, financial disclosures, the endless paperwork of defending herself against people who had unlimited resources to destroy her. She was exhausted. 7.5 months pregnant with swollen ankles and a permanent headache, fighting a battle she could not afford to win. And then the door opened and her husband walked in. Except he did not look like her husband. The man in the doorway had 3 days of stubble on his jaw. His designer clothes were wrinkled from sleeping in his car. His eyes were red-rimmed from exhaustion and something else. Something that looked almost like grief. Ryan? He stopped when he saw her. For a long moment, neither of them moved. She looked beautiful to him, tired and pale and visibly pregnant, sitting in a cheap plastic chair in a strip mall law office, surrounded by documents that detailed exactly how badly he had failed her. But beautiful. So beautiful it made his chest ache. "How did you find me?" Her voice was steady, but he could see her trembling. "I hired an investigator. But Emma, that does not matter. I need to tell you something. If you are here for your mother." "I am not here for my mother." He stepped closer. "I am here because I heard your message, the one I never received, the one Jennifer deleted before I could listen." Emma's face went white. "She deleted it? The night you sent it?" She saw the notification and erased it before I ever knew it existed. "I did not ignore you, Emma. I never heard your voice. I never knew about the baby's heart condition. I never knew you said goodbye." Emma's hand flew to her mouth. "For 5 weeks, I thought you had just gone to visit family. That is what Jennifer told me. She said you would be back in a few weeks. She said you just needed time. And I believed her because I was too blind and too stupid and too focused on my stupid company to question anything." Ryan's voice cracked. "I heard the message yesterday. Marcus found it in a cloud backup. 4 minutes of you telling me everything I should have already known. 4 minutes of you saying goodbye to a man who did not deserve a single second of your love." Tears streamed down his face. "You thought I heard you and did not care. You thought I knew about our daughter's heart and could not be bothered to respond. Emma, that is not what happened. I failed you in 100 ways, but I did not fail you in that way. I never heard you. I never knew." Emma sat frozen, 6 weeks of grief and anger and betrayal reshaping themselves into something new. "Jennifer deleted it," she whispered. "Jennifer kept me from you. For 6 years." Ryan sank into the chair across from her. "She has been intercepting your messages since we got married, working with my mother to keep us apart. All those times you called and I did not answer, half of them she deleted before I saw them. All those appointments you scheduled that I missed, she changed them without telling me. Every moment we could have connected, she sabotaged. Why would she do that? Because she is in love with me. Has been for years, apparently. She thought if she could keep you invisible long enough, you would eventually leave and she could take your place." Emma laughed, a hollow, broken sound. She was right. I did leave. Ryan reached across the space between them, not touching her, just offering his hand, palm up, giving her the choice. "I fired her. I confronted my mother. I have lawyers working to dismiss the custody motion right now. I drove 43 hours to get here because I could not wait for a flight. And I know none of that fixes 6 years of failure. I know sorry does not rebuild what I destroyed. But Emma, I am asking you to let me try. People do not change, Ryan. Not really. Then I will spend the rest of my life proving you wrong." Emma stared at his outstretched hand. This man who had been a stranger even when he was her husband. This man who had let her become invisible in her own marriage. This man who was now sitting in a cheap plastic chair with tears on his face, begging for a chance he did not deserve. She thought about all the reasons she should say no. Then she thought about her daughter, about what it would mean for Lily to have a father who showed up, a father who tried, a father who learned how to love even when it was terrifying. She did not take his hand, but she did not send him away either. "I am not ready to forgive you," she said quietly. "I do not know if I ever will be. But if you want to help fight your mother, I will not stop you. And if you want to be here when our daughter is born." She swallowed hard. "I will not stop that either." Ryan nodded. His hand fell to his side, but his eyes never left her face. "That is enough. That is more than I deserve." He stood. I will find a place to stay in town. I will not push. I will not expect anything. I will just show up every day for as long as it takes. Emma watched him walk toward the door. Ryan, he turned. The wild flowers, the ones you left on my porch every morning. She almost smiled. How did you know they were my favorites? I remembered. You had them in your hair the day we got married. I thought they looked out of place with your designer gown. But now I understand. You were trying to bring something real into a wedding that was more business arrangement than love story. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You noticed? I noticed everything, Emma. I just did not let myself care. That was my mistake, my greatest regret. But I am done making that mistake. He left, and Emma sat alone in the lawyer's office, crying. Not from sadness this time, not entirely, but from something that felt almost like hope. For 2 weeks, things were almost peaceful. Ryan kept his word. He found a small apartment above the hardware store, worked at the marina during the day, attended therapy twice a week, and showed up at Emma's cottage every morning with wildflowers and a handwritten note. Day 1, I see you now. I'm sorry it took so long. Day 5, the custody motion was dismissed. My mother withdrew. You are safe. Day 8, Frank says I am the worst sailor he has ever seen. I told him I am not trying to be good at sailing. I am trying to be good at trying. Day 12, I saw you laughing with Sophie at the ice cream shop today. You looked happy. I want to spend the rest of my life making you look that way. Emma watched him through her window each morning. This man who was slowly becoming someone new. Someone she did not recognize. Someone she might be able to trust. The custody motion was dismissed on day 14. Margaret Castellano withdrew her claim after Ryan's lawyers presented evidence of Jennifer's involvement. The tabloids printed corrections. Emma's clients began returning. Ryan attended her OB appointments. He cried at the ultrasound. He asked questions about nutrition and birth plans and parenting techniques. He read books about fatherhood and took notes in the margins. He was trying, really trying, and Emma began to let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could work. She should have known better. Margaret Castellano was not a woman who accepted defeat. She had been humiliated. Her son had cut her off. Her name was being dragged through the press. The society friends she had cultivated for decades were whispering behind her back. Someone had to pay. She made one final phone call. Emma woke on day 16 to her phone exploding with notifications. Rebecca called 7 times in 10 minutes. When Emma finally answered, her friend's voice was tight with fury. Someone leaked documents to every major news outlet. Financial records claiming your interior design business filed for bankruptcy 5 years ago due to fraud. They are saying you embezzled money from clients. They are saying you married Ryan to escape prosecution. They are saying the pregnancy is fake and you have been wearing prosthetics this whole time. What? That is insane. People have seen me. Dr. Hayes has done ultrasounds. I know. But the documents look real, Emma. Whoever created them knows what they are doing. And the story is everywhere. I mean everywhere. It is the lead story on 3 different networks. Emma turned on her television. Her own face stared back at her from the screen. A photograph from before she was pregnant, digitally altered to make her look harsh and calculating. The headline beneath it read, "Billionaire's wife exposed. Fraud. Fake pregnancy and a plot to steal millions." Emma sank onto her couch, her hand pressed to her very real belly, where her very real daughter was kicking. This cannot be happening. It is happening. Rebecca's voice was grim. But Emma, listen to me. These documents are obviously forged. No bankruptcy filing exists with your name on it. We can prove they are fake. We just need time. How much time? A week. Maybe 2. Emma laughed bitterly. I do not have 2 weeks, Beck. Look at what they are saying. They are calling me a criminal. They are saying my pregnancy is fake. Someone already spray painted my fence. How long before they burned down my house? The next 72 hours were a waking nightmare. Martha Patterson called, crying. Emma, honey, I am so sorry. The phone has not stopped ringing. Guests are canceling reservations. They are saying they do not want to stay at a place associated with a fraud. I have to let you go. I have to protect my business. I understand, Emma said, even though understanding felt like surrender. The pregnancy support group stopped responding to her messages. Strangers confronted her at the grocery store. One woman screamed that Emma should be ashamed of herself for faking a pregnancy for money. Someone left a threatening note in her mailbox. The local news parked a van outside her cottage. And then, at 3 in the morning on day 19, Emma woke to cramping. Not normal cramping, not Braxton Hicks, real cramping. The kind that made her gasp and double over. The kind that sent lightning bolts of pain radiating from her back to her belly. No, she pressed her hands against her stomach. No, 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 no. It is too early. She is not ready. Another wave of pain crashed over her. Emma grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called Ryan. He answered on the first ring. Emma, what is wrong? Something is happening. The baby, I think. She gasped as another contraction hit. I think I am going into labor. I am on my way. Do not move. I am calling 911 right now. Just breathe, Emma. I will be there in 3 minutes. She heard him running, heard him shouting into another phone, heard the fear in his voice that matched the terror in her heart. 3 minutes later, he burst through her door. 3 minutes after that, the ambulance arrived, and Emma lay on a stretcher staring at the ceiling of an ambulance, praying to anyone who would listen. Please, please do not take her from me. She is all I have. She is everything. Please. The hospital was chaos, doctors swarming, monitors beeping, voices shouting medical terminology that Emma could not follow through the haze of pain and fear. Ryan held her hand so tightly it hurt. But she did not let go, could not let go. He was her anchor in a storm that threatened to sweep her away. She is only 7.5 months, Emma kept saying. It is too early. Her heart is not strong enough yet. The doctors worked quickly, medication to slow the contractions, monitors to track the baby's heart rate, hushed conversations in the corner of the room that stopped whenever Emma tried to listen. And then, the baby's heart rate is dropping. We need to prep for emergency intervention. Emma screamed, not like this. Please, not like this. She has to be okay. She has to. Ryan leaned close, his face inches from hers. Look at me, Emma. Look at me. You are the strongest person I have ever known. You survived 6 years of my neglect. You survived Jennifer and my mother and everything they threw at you. You walked away from a life that was killing you and built something new. You are not going to lose her. Do you hear me? You are not going to lose her. But his voice was shaking, and there were tears streaming down his face, and Emma knew he was just as terrified as she was. They managed to stop the labor. It took 4 hours. 4 hours of medication and monitoring and prayers that Emma did not know she remembered how to say. But they stopped it. The baby was stable. For now. Emma lay in the hospital bed, exhausted beyond words, her hands still clutching Ryan's. A doctor came in, a kind-faced woman in her 50s with tired eyes and gentle hands. Mrs. Castellano, the baby is stable, but her heart is under significant stress. The next 48 hours are critical. If we can keep her in for at least 2 more weeks, her chances improve dramatically. But I need to be honest with you. The level of stress you have been under is a major contributing factor to this crisis. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. Your cortisol levels are through the roof. Whatever is happening in your life outside this hospital, it needs to stop. Completely. Your daughter's life depends on it. The doctor left. Emma stared at the ceiling. The stress needs to stop. The stress that had been manufactured by Jennifer and Margaret. The stress that had been designed specifically to destroy her. They almost killed her, Emma whispered. They almost killed my daughter. Ryan's jaw tightened. They will not get away with this. I swear to you, Emma, I will make them pay for every moment of suffering they have caused you. How? Emma's voice was hollow. Your mother has unlimited resources. She will just keep coming. Then I will stop her. I might not. Permanently, whatever it takes. The next 48 hours were the longest of Emma's life. She could not leave the bed, could not eat, could barely sleep. She lay there connected to monitors, feeling her daughter move inside her and praying that every movement would not be the last. Ryan did not leave her side. He slept in the chair beside her bed. He held her hand during every examination. He talked to her about nothing and everything, keeping her mind occupied so she would not spiral into panic. On the second night, Emma woke at 3 in the morning to find him crying. Not the controlled tears she had seen before. Deep, racking sobs that shook his whole body. Ryan? He looked up. His face was raw with grief and guilt and something else. Something that looked like transformation. I keep thinking about what could have happened, he whispered. If I had not heard the message. If I had not come to Oregon. If you had been alone when this started. But you did come. I was not alone. I should have been here from the beginning. He gripped her hand. 6 years, Emma. 6 years I let you be invisible. 6 years I chose work over you. I thought success would protect me from pain. I thought if I never let myself love anyone, I could never lose anyone. I thought I was being smart. His voice broke. I was just being a coward, and my cowardice almost cost me everything. You, our daughter, the only things that actually matter. Emma reached out and touched his face. You are here now. Is that enough? She thought about the question. Really thought about it. I do not know yet, she said honestly, but it is more than I had yesterday, and more than I ever expected to have again. On day 3, the doctors had good news. The baby's heart rate had stabilized. The contractions had stopped completely. Emma's blood pressure was returning to normal. If things continue like this, the doctor said, you should be able to go home in a few days. Bed rest only. No stress, no excitement, just calm and quiet until this baby is ready to come into the world. Emma cried with relief. Ryan cried with her. And somewhere in that shared moment of joy and terror and gratitude, something shifted between them. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the beginning of something that might eventually become forgiveness. The first fragile thread of trust. 1 week later, Ryan held a press conference. He stood at a podium in front of dozens of reporters, cameras flashing, microphones recording every word. Emma watched from her hospital bed, still on bed rest, still praying. I have a statement to make, Ryan began, his voice steady and clear. And then I will take questions. He looked directly into the cameras. For 6 years, I failed my wife. I was so focused on building my company that I let the most important person in my life become invisible. I take full responsibility for the emotional neglect that drove Emma to leave our marriage. That is my shame, and I will carry it for the rest of my life, he paused. But I was not the only one hurting Emma. While I was too blind to see what was happening, my executive assistant, Jennifer Walsh, and my mother, Margaret Castellano, engaged in a deliberate 6-year campaign to isolate and destroy my wife. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jennifer intercepted Emma's messages to me for years. She deleted a voice note Emma sent the night she left, a message telling me she was pregnant and that our baby might have a serious health condition. She prevented me from knowing my wife was suffering. She prevented me from being there when Emma needed me most. Ryan held up a folder of documents. Additionally, the financial records that were leaked to the press last week claiming Emma committed fraud, they are forgeries, created by Jennifer Walsh at my mother's instruction. Emma's interior design business never filed for bankruptcy. She never committed fraud. She was never anything but an honest woman trying to build a life with a husband who did not deserve her. He set the folder down. The evidence I am presenting today has been submitted to law enforcement. Jennifer Walsh was arrested this morning. My mother is under investigation for fraud, harassment, stalking, and conspiracy. I expect she will face criminal charges within the week. Ryan looked directly into the camera. I want to say something to my wife, Emma. If you are watching this, I know I do not deserve your forgiveness. I know I spent 6 years failing you in every way a husband can fail. But I want you to know that I see you now. I see your strength. I see your courage. I see the woman who walked away from everything she knew to protect our daughter. I see you, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure the world sees you too. He stepped back from the podium. I will take questions now. The story dominated the news for weeks. Jennifer Walsh was charged with fraud, identity theft, stalking, harassment, and conspiracy. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Bank records, email transcripts, phone logs, the deleted voice message recovered from cloud backup. She pleaded guilty to avoid a trial that would have exposed every detail of her 8-year obsession. She was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. Margaret Castellano fought the charges initially. She hired the best lawyers money could buy. She gave interviews claiming she was the real victim. that her son had been manipulated by his ungrateful wife. But the evidence was undeniable. The paper trail, the forged documents, the payments to Jennifer over 6 years. She pleaded guilty to reduced charges. No prison time, but 5 years probation, a $2 million fine, and permanent damage to her reputation. The society circles she had spent her life cultivating turned their backs on her. The charity boards asked for her resignation. The country club revoked her membership. Margaret Castellano ended up alone in her penthouse, surrounded by expensive things and no one who cared about her. Emma felt no satisfaction in her downfall, but she felt no sympathy either. Some people earn their loneliness. Lily Morgan Castellano was born 3 weeks later, full term, healthy, perfect. The labor was long, 18 hours of contractions and pushing, and Ryan holding Emma's hand and telling her she was the strongest person he had ever known. When it was finally over, when the nurse placed a tiny screaming bundle in Emma's arms, Ryan cried openly. "She is perfect," Emma whispered, exhausted and radiant. "Just like her mother," Ryan said. Lily weighed 6 pounds 4 ounces. She had Emma's green eyes and Ryan's dark hair, and her heart, a heart they had worried about for months, was strong. The doctor said she would need monitoring as she grew, possibly minor surgery at some point. But she was healthy, she was alive, she was theirs. Emma looked at her daughter's face and felt something shift inside her. All the pain, all the suffering, all the betrayal and fear and loneliness. It had led here, to this moment, to this tiny, perfect person who was worth everything. "I love you," Emma whispered to her daughter. "I will always love you, and I will spend my whole life making sure you know how much you matter." Ryan leaned close, his hand gentle on Lily's tiny head. "Can I make a promise to her too?" Emma nodded. "Lily," Ryan's voice was thick with emotion, "I promise I will be there, every day, for every moment that matters. I will not be invisible in your life the way I was invisible in your mother's. I will show up. I will try. I will earn the right to be called your father, and I will never ever take you or your mother for granted." Emma looked at him, this man who had been a stranger, this man who was slowly, painfully becoming someone new. "I believe you," she said quietly. And for the first time since she had left Manhattan, she meant it. 1 year later. Seabrook in summer was everything Emma had dreamed it could be. Wildflowers blooming along the coastal roads, sunlight sparkling on the ocean, the smell of salt and possibility. Lily was 1 year old today, walking on unsteady legs, saying mama and dada and no with increasing enthusiasm, filling every room with laughter and chaos and joy. They had stayed in Seabrook, bought a house near the ocean with a garden and a porch swing, a real home. Ryan worked remotely 3 days a week. He had stepped down as CEO. He still served on the board. He still built things and solved problems. But he had learned that success meant nothing without people to share it with. Emma had reopened her interior design business. She specialized in creating warm, welcoming spaces for families. Her waiting list was 6 months long. They had rebuilt their marriage from scratch. Not the cold arrangement that had existed before. Something real, something honest, something that required work every single day. It was not perfect. They still fought sometimes. They still struggled. Ryan still worked too much occasionally. Emma still retreated when she was hurt. But they showed up. Every day. They tried. And that made all the difference. The vow renewal ceremony took place on Lily's first birthday, on the beach at sunset. Just family and close friends, wildflowers everywhere. Emma wore a simple white dress. Ryan wore jeans and a button-down shirt. No designer suits, no diamond-encrusted everything. Just them. Ryan went first. 6 years ago, I married you because it made sense on paper. I told myself that love was dangerous, that vulnerability was weakness, that the safest thing I could do was keep my heart locked away where no one could reach it. He took Emma's hands. I was wrong. About everything. Love is not the danger. Running from love is. Closing your heart does not protect you. It just means you spend your whole life alone, surrounded by success that means nothing, wondering why you feel so empty. Tears slipped down his cheeks. Emma, you are the bravest person I have ever known. You had the courage to leave, when leaving was terrifying. You had the courage to let me try again when you had every reason to slam the door in my face. You showed me what love actually looks like. Not grand gestures or expensive gifts, just showing up. Every single day, no matter how hard it gets. He raised her hand to his lips. I will spend the rest of my life earning what you have given me. A second chance I did not deserve. A family I almost destroyed. A home I never knew I needed. I love you, Emma. Today, tomorrow, until my last breath. Emma took a shaky breath. I used to think love meant waiting. Waiting to be seen. Waiting to be chosen. Waiting for someone to finally notice I existed. I spent 6 years waiting for you, Ryan. And it almost broke me. She squeezed his hands. But I learned something important. Something I want every woman listening to this to understand. Love does not mean waiting. Love means choosing. Choosing yourself first. Refusing to accept less than you deserve. Walking away from situations that are killing you even when walking away is the hardest thing you have ever done. Her voice grew stronger. And then when you have chosen yourself, love means being brave enough to try again. Not with someone who has not changed, not with someone who only makes promises, but with someone who shows up, someone who does the work, someone who earns the right to be in your life through action, not just words. She looked at Ryan. You almost were not brave enough. You almost let your fear win, but you got there eventually. And so did I. A smile broke through her tears. So here is to us, the imperfect, broken, healing, trying every single day us. Here is to second chances that are earned, not given. Here is to showing up even when it is hard. Here is to our daughter, who taught us both what actually matters. Lily chose that moment to shriek with joy, chasing a seagull across the sand. Everyone laughed, and Emma knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Later that night, after the guests had gone and Lily was sleeping in her crib, Emma and Ryan sat on their porch swing watching the stars. I talked to a woman in my business last week, Emma said, going through something similar. Husband who ignored her, feeling invisible. She asked me what she should do. What did you tell her? Emma smiled. I told her what I wish someone had told me 6 years ago. You cannot love someone into seeing you. You cannot wait someone into changing. You cannot sacrifice yourself small enough to finally earn their attention. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave, not to punish them, but to save yourself. She rested her head on Ryan's shoulder, and sometimes, just sometimes, that leaving creates space for real transformation. Not everyone deserves a second chance, but if someone proves they have changed, truly changed, through action and time and consistent effort, it is okay to let them try. She looked up at him. Just make sure they are earning it every single day. Ryan kissed her forehead. I am still earning it every day for the rest of my life. I know. Emma smiled. That is why I am still here. Yuns of their daughter sleeping inside. Emma thought about the woman she had been a year ago, broken, invisible, fleeing in the middle of the night with nothing but a suitcase and desperate hope. She thought about the woman she was now, strong, loved, building a life she had chosen for herself. The journey between those two women had been brutal, painful, terrifying, but worth it. Because sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what truly matters. Sometimes you have to hit bottom to learn how to rise. And sometimes the greatest success is not measured in money or power or empire. It is measured in the quiet peace of a life well lived, in the trust that takes years to rebuild, in the tiny hand that reaches for yours and holds on tight. Ryan Castellano had been a billionaire who had nothing. Now he was a man who had everything that mattered, and he never took it for granted again. If Emma's story touched your heart, you are not alone. Every week I share stories like this one. Stories about women who find their strength, women who refuse to stay invisible, women who choose themselves and discover they were worth fighting for all along. If you want to hear more, tap that subscribe button so you never miss an update. And if you know someone who needs to hear Emma's message today, someone who might be feeling invisible in their own life, share this story with them. Sometimes a single story can change everything. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next one.